Of course, NATO and America's presence in Europe came from World War II, and few moments in history speak to American exceptionalism, speak to our dedication to our allies, like June 6th, D-Day, 78 years ago, when American, British, and Canadian boys stormed the beaches of Normandy. Here's their commander at the time, General Dwight Eisenhower.
Soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force, you are about to embark upon the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you.
Eisenhower needed a title before the invasion to signify his control over all Allied forces, including foreign generals of his same rank. Thus, the creation of Supreme Allied Commander, perhaps the greatest title in history. Eisenhower was the first. General Philip Breedlove was the 17th Supreme Allied Commander. With us now. Good to see you, sir. Thank you. Lessons from 78 years ago that are in danger of being lost now?
Well, I think the lesson that I would like to remind everyone is that it's important for America to understand it has to be involved in Europe. Our leadership is needed, and our leadership on that day was demonstrative. SACEUR #1, we still sit in his seat, his gun on the wall to the left of us, and it reminds us of the gravity of the decisions he had to make to put all those young lives from many countries, but certainly many, many Americans he knew would go across that beach and never make it home.
Yeah, you think about D-Day, 139 major warships, 221 smaller vessels, 1,000 minesweepers. The list goes on, 4,000 landing craft. In victory was not assured. In hindsight, it makes perfect sense. You pick the beach that's the least defended by conscripts or younger soldiers, certainly not where the Germans were expecting it, on a morning that was a little rainy and foggy. The night before the attack, after Eisenhower had given the order, he wrote this letter. I have withdrawn the troops. My decision to attack at this time and place was based upon the best information available. The troops, the air, and the Navy did all the bravery and devotion to duty could do. If any blame or fault attaches to the attempt, it is mine alone. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force. You talked about leadership. Is that kind of command leadership that takes responsibility for failure missing?
Well, it certainly is in less supply these days. The former Chief of Staff of the Air Force, David Goldfein, wrote a good book, and he said it's all about owning failure and sharing success. And that is a plea to remember that, to take responsibility. And again, the decision he had to make after all that bad weather, and then the weatherman walking in and saying, we're going to have a small window, and here we go.
You talk about that as, owning a failure and sharing success. Eisenhower was famous for saying you could get a lot done if you didn't care about who got the credit. And you think about what he got done as general and as Allied commander, but then what he got done as president, which was truly remarkable domestically, from the interstate highway system to overseeing the enormous expansion of America's middle class and a huge economic expansion. Do you think he gets enough credit?
Well, pretty easy for me to say no, because I was a student of how he did his business, as was a lot of SACEURs, or as were a lot of SACEURs. And so, no, he didn't get all the credit, but he also paid a lot of respect to those who were planning this mission long before he became involved. It's some pretty interesting books out there, and he put the credit in the hands of those who did the work.
Yeah, it's funny, the great generals that you interview, whether it be you or some of your compatriots, they all talk about the books. Which shows sort of a remarkable study of history and respect for it. And you think about that generation, the oral history that now we are all losing, because I didn't know much about World War I because I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. I had my grandfather to talk to World War II about, who served for Eisenhower and worked for him. And I think about the difference between now and, say, 30 years ago when President Reagan was at Normandy. Take a listen.
Rangers looked up and saw the enemy soldiers at the edge of the cliffs shooting down at them with machine guns and throwing grenades. And the American Rangers began to climb. 225 came here. After 2 days of fighting, only 90 could still bear arms. These are the boys of Pointe du Hoc. These are the men who took the cliffs. These are the champions who helped free a continent. And these are the heroes who helped end a war.
Boy, I get chills hearing it, and then I get more chills thinking about looking out from Pointe du Hoc.
So that was one of the greatest privileges of my life. I was the SACEUR for the 70th anniversary of D-Day. There were 41 veterans that visited all of the sites. There were 11 ceremonies. I got to participate in 6 of them. The most important one was at Pointe du Hoc, where those Rangers climbed. And at the end of the ceremony and the veterans arrived, this one gentleman wanted to talk to me, and he had to fight through the security and everything else. And I let him come up, and he took me over, and we stood right on the edge of the cliff. He scared me to death. I put my finger in his belt loop because I was afraid he was going to go over. And he started talking kind of crazy about this boyhood friend of his who he had spent his whole life with through all of the schooling, enlisted together, airborne training together, Ranger training. And then he bent down right there on that cliff. And if you've never been there, it's dramatic. And he patted his head on the ground. It's hard for me to tell. And he said, when we both raised our heads above here to try to go forward, they shot my buddy. And he told me his name. And he was there to tell me about his hero who died going over the edge of that cliff.
Boy, I know it's hard for you to be there, hard to recount, and hard to hear. We owe them a debt of gratitude, and it's our responsibility to remember them. General, thank you for helping us do that today. It's good to see you, sir.
Great to see you. God bless all the men who went in and women at D-Day.
Yeah. And may their memories be a blessing and a reminder to all of us. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.